Well, today's Friday. You forget what day it is when you're retired. Friday the 10th of February 2023.
And the year.
I forget the year as well. And Anita's been out for lunch, so I've been left to my own devices today. But we've come down to Palmanova for a little walk around. It's quite late in the afternoon for us to go for a walk, so the sun's beginning to set, so it's getting dark, so we better get on. So we're starting the walk at the top of the road here that goes down to the beach opposite Majorca there on that side. And just to show you that there are lots of places open, and they are quite busy, because people keep asking us, is there anywhere open? And yeah, this particular street is the one where you'll find most things open, and shops are open, bars, restaurants.
The Barbara drove past Basiki last night and it was absolutely packed.
Yeah, we've been down here in the past few weeks around lunchtime, and you find the bars really busy. It's gone pretty cold again, unfortunately. Temperatures back down into well, single figures at night time for sure, down to 4 or 5 degrees, and in the daytime not getting much above 13-14 degrees, which feels really cold here for Mallorca. But we're on the upward slope now. February's probably the coldest month, and then things will start to pick up. Reading the press today, there's actually more than 18% more flights in January compared to last year. So all the things about not wanting tourists, they still come, so they're going to be coming whether they like it or not.
It's half term next week, isn't it?
Half term in some schools next week, yeah. So don't know if they'll be coming here. Our family are all skiing and things like that this time of the year. Too cold for me. And good news that Jet2 are putting on more flights from the UK, and a lot of the hotels, particularly on the Playa de Palma, Cala Major side, so sort of east of Palma, are starting to open up in the next month or so. Not because of British tourists, but because of German tourists. The German market seems to have taken off even more than the British, and so in March they're expecting quite a lot of German tourists to start arriving, and then shortly after that we'll be getting the British hotels opening up, so can expect that really towards the end of March for April, which is when Easter starts. It's getting down towards the beach. The sea's looking pretty calm, and trees don't seem to be moving around too much, so maybe there won't be too much wind today. But it's a bit chilly. And it's 25 to 6. One of our favourites is Mai Tai. That's not open yet. Not sure if they've got a date. But we will start to see these places opening up soon. And some of them, of course, are already open. April to October, it says there. And there's the beach. Hardly a soul on it, but looking nice, and there's a few clouds in the sky today. It's a bit dull this morning, but it's looking quite nice, and the sun is actually on the cliff faces across the water there. The sun's looking really smart. And sometimes you start walking along and there's something missing. And yeah, there's definitely something missing from here, and it's a gigantic tree, or trees.
There's the tree, yeah. have to look at one of your old videos and see what...
We'll have to do a little bit of a comparison, but yeah, it's all gone. Actually, the waves on the sea do actually look quite nice. They're not big waves, but when they roll onto the beach, hopefully we'll get some of that sound. And it's a time of the evening when some people come out for a walk, might stop off in a bar and have a beer. We could do that.
Definitely. No wine with lunch today.
Oh dear, Anita went for lunch and didn't have a glass of wine. How can you believe that? I mean, I can't believe
Not my
that.
fault.
So across the road we've got the Fergus Hotel, the Fergus style Palmanova. It's a 4-star hotel, and it's one of the hotels that is open, so this time of the year you can actually come on holiday here. And that's, I believe, it's quite a nice hotel. We've never obviously stayed in the hotel, but we have stopped off there for a coffee or a beer or even a wee dram of whiskey after a meal. And the lavender's looking good. Lots of it, all very bushy. I do like the smell of lavender. A wonderful fragrance. Yeah.
And with the weeds when I get in there.
Looks as though the Can Blanc is closed. They will have been open earlier on in the day. They are more of a daytime bar. People come for their morning coffee, a beer, and maybe even have lunch. But it's not really a place for the evening, especially at this time of the year when it's quite cool. Across the road, it looks like the Beer Hive is now open again. One of our favourite stop-off points. And yep, the lights are on. And I think I can see people sitting outside there. Again, it's another one of the places where we stop off.
I hope you never cut this tree down.
No, this is quite a special tree. People have been asking me about this tree as well, so here it is. We've got photographs of our children lying in the tree from years ago. So the plaque here, which is actually in Catalan, is about the inauguration of this passage, which is on this beach, Carregador, and it's about the inauguration of the beach by the then mayor of Calvi, who was Margarita Najera, and she was there in the presence of Senor, and I can't read that, Fernando, does it say? Marin, who was the Director General of Costas. Costas is the people who are in charge of things that happen on the beach and within a reasonable distance of the sea, and also Director General of the Ministry of Medio Ambiente. And it's on the 3rd of August 1996, is that? Yeah. We do actually remember that mayoress, and we met her on quite a few occasions, and not sure what happened to her, but she was responsible for a lot of these things at the time. It was very much in the news, and people were not sure whether it was a good idea or not. She spent a lot of money on these walkways, and in the end, well, I don't know, I think they're good. sort of changed this area completely. This beach, when we first came here, there was no beach here. This wasn't a beach. So when we were here 37 years ago, there was a thin strip of sand just a few meters from here, very, very little. And they brought ships in, and the ships were pumping sand onto the beach for days, weeks, months. I don't know how long it took, I can't remember, but that's where this beach came from. And luckily for them, we don't have much in the way of currents, and we don't have any tide to speak of. And so the sand has actually stayed here. In Port Towels, there must be a slight current, and all of the sand was actually pushed from one side to another, and so it's very wide on one part and very narrow on the other. In Palma, they're about to dig up the Plaza España because a lot of the paving stones are damaged, and well, I hope they're going to do something similar here, because the place is really damaged there, and that's because the Ayuntamiento, the town hall themselves, or the people who are looking after the beach, come along in their big trucks and they just break the stones. So that's how it happens. I've done this again. I put a big thick jacket on and it isn't necessary. Oh, Anita says he says. Oof. Smell the seaweed. It's not a nasty smell, but you can smell it's there. You may remember that earlier on in the year I spoke about visa waivers and entry into the it's entry into the EU, not just into Spain. Well, it's all now getting a bit clearer what's going to happen. At one point they were talking about bringing in fingerprints for this summer. That's all been put on hold, and the big changes look as though they're going to happen in November, assuming that they don't make any more alterations to the dates. And what will happen then is that from November you will need a thing called ETIAS, which is a visa waiver, because if you're coming from Britain with a British passport, that is, it doesn't apply to anyone who's travelling within the European Union. So if you're coming from Ireland or France or Germany or any other country within the 27, then you don't need to have this. But if you're coming from a third country like the United Kingdom, then you're going to need this visa waiver, which is going to be an online document. Only available online. It's going to cost you €7, whatever that will be at the time in pounds, and it'll last you for 3 years. But everyone's going to have one. And it's to enter Europe. It's not to enter Spain, it's to enter any country in Europe. And with that, they will be able to document you. They're going to stop stamping the passports as well, so you won't have your passport stamped. But I've not heard any more about the fingerprints, but there was they were saying they were going to take your fingerprints as well, and all of that will be logged on the computer, so they'll know exactly when you come and when you go, and they'll be looking for people who overstay their time within the European Union. So that's what it's all going to be about, and that's not till November. So if you're coming on holiday this summer, no need to worry. It will just be pretty much as it was. We're going up some steps now, so I'm going to turn the camera off. Oh, we're up on the top. There's one or two people walking dogs around on the beach there, but very quiet now. Oh, I do love the sound of the sea. Oh, we've got the processionary caterpillars out. I don't know if you can see that. Little hairy caterpillars. And it's about the only, or one of the few, nasties on the island. And they are really nasty. So if you're here in February, and pretty much that's the only time you'll find them, avoid them. The hairs, when they get on your skin, inject you with something which will cause a rash, at best a rash, but worse than that, it can cause swelling, and for animals in particular, dogs, if they might put them in their mouths, then it can cause the throats to swell and the dog dies. But even humans, some people have particularly allergic reactions to these caterpillars, and you just need to avoid them.
Oh, here. Ooh.
And we find them in these trees, so they're only in pine trees. And this is a nest. I'm just going to bring the camera close to this nest, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about there. These are the caterpillars, and they're just here coming out, and they will probably just end up falling down through the tree. Sometimes they'll walk down the tree trunk. Sometimes they'll just fall out. And these are the ones which have got the really dangerous hairs on them.
And they do become moths, don't they?
Yeah, they do eventually turn into moths, and that's how they have in the past controlled them. So they've set up nests for the moths to fly into. And they used to give them away to people who'd got pine trees in the gardens, and the moths would fly in, and then I guess they would die. But they put a hormone or something that the moths were attracted to inside them, and the moths would all fly in and then die, and then obviously couldn't reproduce. But I don't see many of these traps anymore, and so we're seeing a lot of these nests. You don't get them in these trees, it's only in the pine trees.
There's only certain pine trees as well.
Is it not all pine trees? Well, there you go. But when they come down, they're called processionary caterpillars because they end up following each other nose to tail. And I have actually seen them going round in circles, nose to tail. But do avoid them. Locals here will get rid of them by burning them. So you spray them with alcohol and set fire to them. Brushing them away doesn't work. If you brush them, you just enable the hairs to float about in the atmosphere, and then they can actually get into your skin, or you can breathe them in, so it can be much more dangerous. And I do know someone actually who ended up in hospital simply because of them. I mean, just looking up into the trees, and up in this tree we've got several big nests, and one's in front, so I think over the next week or two we could be getting a lot of these processionary caterpillars around. Down some steps, so off goes the camera, I'm afraid. Well, there's actually lots of people down on this beach, the volleyball players.
Actually, it's not really too cold.
No, because we haven't got the wind, have we? There's no breeze, so it's really quite pleasant. And not only are we getting into the weekend, we're also getting into sort of a party atmosphere again. You might say, well, you just had Christmas and you just had San Sebastian and all of that. Well, this next week is another big party here in Mallorca. So many of the towns, villages and the city will be celebrating Carnival. And there'll be carnival processions, there'll be carnival activities, and they'll be starting this weekend. we've just come up by McDonald's, which is open, and we're right opposite the Tropico Hotel,
Which is not open.
which of course is not open. So, got all the volleyball players down there. You probably noticed that the road we came down at the beginning of the video is where most of the places are open, and as you come down here at the moment there are probably more places that are closed. That doesn't mean everywhere's closed. There are little oases of places that are open, and more and more will be opening over the next few weeks. To find out what's open, what isn't open, two places to look, both on Facebook, I'm afraid. If you don't, I need to have a look on Facebook, and that's the Calvia notice board. Or if you're not looking on the Calvia notice board, then one of the Palmanova groups, where Philip Blackburn is keeping you up to date with what's going on here in the local area. So the pharmacy across the road's open. We could have come by bus, couldn't we? The only thing is, to get to Palmanova by bus, pretty much we've got to catch a bus into Palma and then a bus out of Palma. It's not as simple, is it? So we came by car. And that one that's just gone by is one of the buses that's running on natural gas rather than diesel, as most buses do, I suppose. That one runs on natural gas. And Balearic government have also invested in hydrogen-powered buses, so we'll start to see some of those on the road soon. They're already here, I believe, manufactured in Poland, but they're using hydrogen. And the great news about that is that the hydrogen itself is generated here in Majorca, actually made in Majorca, and it's green. Green meaning that it's made from renewables. It's made actually from the solar panels that are providing the electricity for the electrolysis. The shop's open across the road. Want a polo shirt?
Always open, that one is, isn't it? Tightrope
Slackliners, yeah. So quite often in this area, well, at the weekends you'll find a lot of people coming to have a barbecue under the trees, particularly as the temperature goes up. But you'll get the slackliners here, who are sort of tightrope walkers. Here's the tourist information office.
open.
The lights are on and the lady's in there. It's all open. And the spa across the road's open. So the hotel, which was called Senses, is now going to be called Reverence Mare Hotel. And I know that's going to be great because a friend of ours manages it. We need to come down here quite regularly just to have a look to see what's happening to the Calablanca Hotel, which is undergoing a big makeover at the moment. because Melia, who are the owners of the hotel, have gone into partnership with Rafa Nadal, the tennis player, and they're going to re-image the place. It's going to have a totally different style to it. Just across the road we've got El Tano, which is open, and is Castaways open? I think Castaways is open too, yeah. Castaways been open pretty much all through the winter.
I'm hoping the olive tree is, but I bet it's not.
Oh, I don't think so. The olive tree and CISO have been putting up pictures and videos recently. But we're just coming up to the Cala Blanca. So that's going to be closed until June. And some people were a little bit concerned because they'd booked holidays here, probably in May or April even. Well, you're not going to be staying there, but hopefully the Melia group will be finding you an upgrade somewhere.
The Caribbean.
No, I think it might still be in Majorca. But well, hopefully wherever it is you go, you'll have a really great holiday. And I would imagine that people who have booked those holidays have already been informed about what's happening. So it's actually been a couple of weeks, I think, since we were down here. It was pouring down with rain on that particular day. It's not raining now, it's getting late in the evening. We do have some blue sky now. It's hard to tell what's new and what's not new here. It just looks like a building site, which is really what it is. Just looking in there, there's going to be lots and lots of work that's going to be done there. So it used to be called the inside, well that's going to now change. Whether they'll still use the Cala Blanca name, which is what people know it by, then we'll have to wait and see, but I think the inside name will go and this will become Zell. And it's going to go upmarket a bit, so I think there'll be a consequential increase in prices. And now the sun is shining on the rocks and buildings in the distance there. We've got a photographer out enjoying the scene. Oh. That photographer's Anita. Maybe she's making her own video. I think she is. Still looking after the trees here, just trimming them now and again. So Anita's now taken a photograph or a video and she now sends it off to all of her friends. I'll carry on walking a little bit. So I'll keep coming down to the Cala Blanca just to check, see what's going on. I think everyone's a little bit curious. Just coming up to Roger's bar. We did stop off there last summer for a drink. Here she comes. Hotel in front of us, of course, is the Santa Lucia.
Just done my 10,000 steps.
Well done, dear. We did go into Palma again this morning, but didn't make any videos while we were going in. Seem to be going into Palma more and more, actually. We've really not been going into Palma since we've been on the island very much.
I haven't had time really.
No, but now we've got time, we're going in far more, and the free bus passes makes a difference. Just going past the Barbuda, which is one of the places we do like. Have some nice food there.
Angela will be bringing you here soon.
And then the Diana Beach Club right next to it.
Don't drop them, it's in bedroom.
Looks like they're doing a bit of painting and decorating in there. A Chinese restaurant here may well open up later on in the evening. Do tend to be open most of the time. Sort of in between time now. It's not quite ready for dinner. It's only just after 6 o'clock. Only ripples on this beach. Such a beautiful view, and the sky is becoming bluer and bluer as it gets darker and darker. And we're just now outside the Santa Lucia. So Shauna, you'll be here later on this year, and we're looking forward to seeing you in September. It'll be a lot warmer then. Just carry on walking round. It's all looking very empty now, Shauna, but it'll all look A lot different when you arrive. We've got one pretty much deserted beach there. Like you can see now, the sun is beginning to set, so I think it's time for us to start heading back because it's going to start going dark very soon.
Finding somewhere to have a drink.
Yes. And it's 6:15. So we're not going past the San Matias Beach Hotel. And up there we've got Ciso's and we've got the olive tree, which we would normally like to go to, but they're not open, so we can't. I did have a recommendation about going into the Three Brothers and have a pint of Foster's.
It's not open.
I don't think we'll be doing that today. Actually, there is somebody in there. They must be doing a little bit of work, getting ready. So they might be preparing for the season, cleaning things up, getting everything just ship shape. And that's good to know. It looks like the Oroco is closed up for a bit of a rest. We did come to the Indian restaurant down here, and we have promised we'll come back and make a video. But, not today, because Anita's just had a really big lunch.
I haven't. You didn't have more.
So yeah, all the seat cushions are out here at the Chinese, so that's probably going to open up a bit later on in the evening. That's the Happy Chinese. Going past the children's park on the left. And the ice cream place is open. Looks like one of the few. The Gelacious. Yeah, shall we? We'll go and have a beer. So we've actually stopped off at Gelacious, and it's one of the very few places that are open at this part of Palmanova, and a really nice welcome we've had, and from Anna, and Anita's got a nice red wine, of course, and I've got a beer today, so cheers. Cheers, everyone. And thank you very much for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our next video, wherever that may be. Bye for now.
Bye.